Well, I'm going to introduce Matt Conley from the Kohala Center. Has been kind enough to come down. Matt's a biologist and does all the training at Kohala, and we're lucky to have him here tonight. He's going to hopefully put us through our paces, and should be great. So Matt, thank you for coming, and we're glad to have you.
Thank you guys for having me. One of the reasons we got involved in the first place with the Reef Teach program with Kahului Bay is because we wanted to be a model for other communities to take care of their own resources. And we've been very successful over the years. We've started, Reef Teach was started by Sarah Peck in the year 2000 with help from UHC grant. And over the next 5 or 6 years from there, it sort of fluctuated between many volunteers or just a few or even nobody at all. But what happened is the priorities of UHC grant changed and they could no longer support the Reef Teach program. So they came to the Kohala Center to ask for support, and so the Kohala Center adopted the program, and since then we've trained something like 400 new volunteers that come on a regular basis. We've been in schools with several thousand island students, and we are on the beach from 10:30 or 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock every day with volunteers, sometimes just one volunteer, sometimes as many as 10. It all kind of depends on the season or the day of the week. And just last year, in December of 2011, we put up our Kahului Bay Education Center, which is a van. Right now it's just a van. We pull onto the beach every morning. We're there. We pull on about 8:30. We're gone by 4:30. And we set up reference tables. We set up a bunch of tents. And then we have a snorkel concession, which helps raise funds for our program. And that's part of a longer-term project. We actually have a 10-year contract with the county to build a permanent education center at Kahului Beach, and then lead park restoration and renovation. There's a master plan that you can find on our website. It was made, it was drawn up by students from University of Washington, I believe. They're architecture students, but we held a community design discussion, and we asked people what they wanted to see in that park in the future. And it includes a lot of the same things that are there now, but the addition would be the education center, which would be a building that everybody would have to go through before they get onto the beach, so similar to Hanauma Bay. And then it also will include maybe removing some of the things that are too close to the water. For example, the pavilion that's there is a really great pavilion. It's used very frequently for various birthday parties and baby luau's and stuff like that. But it's right on the water. The water laps up on the side of it, and it's taking up a big portion of the beach. Also, the parking lot takes up a good couple acres of the park, although some of that lot is actually not on park property. So that may have to be relinquished to Kamehameha Schools, who owns the grounds next door. I don't know if you've heard, they closed that hotel in November and plan to put in a cultural education center over there. So we're hoping that we can get the two groups to cooperate and come up with something that gets visitors to flow to both, because that would be really great, because you can get a marine education and then a cultural education right there in one spot. So that pavilion may be moved farther back off the beach. The parking lot may actually be moved across the street, and that area could be reclaimed as a green space or a picnic area or whatever. There's talk about removing that seawall that was put there, I think it was in the 60s or 70s. It was put there to keep the beach flat for the tennis courts and basketball courts that used to be there. But it's a really grand plan to make it a very beautiful place and make it a good educational place. You know, Reef Teach was put there at Kahului Beach because 400,000 people go there every year, out of about 1.2 million visitors to the island every year. So that means 1 out of 3 stops there, and that's sort of a bottleneck where we can get as much marine education to as many people as possible with the least amount of effort. Although we do have to work very hard to even reach out to those people. With all the volunteers that we have, we generally get about 40,000 people a year that we educate, 40,000 visitors, so that's a pretty good success rate. So yeah, in 10 years you may see a very different place there, and now with your guys' project you might see a pretty different place here in a few years. Not that you want to develop an education center per se, but you may have a higher presence where you have volunteers on the beach every day at Puako, over at Wailea, or wherever. And I've been working with George and Phil. We're working on some grant applications to get some funding for some supplies for you guys. So pretty excited about that, because you guys will be the first Reef Teach program, or whatever you want to name it, that is modeled after our system, and that's, like I said, one of the reasons that we are here. So today I'm going to give you basically the same training that I would give the Reef Teach volunteers who come to us to help. I've changed a few of the things to be more specific to you guys, because I include a lot of the history of the area in my presentation, but that's not really relevant here. And also I talk about some of the fishing rules and regulations there, so I've got that for you guys. But the way I'll go through this, and it's a little long, I'll try and hurry through some of it, otherwise we'll end up being here till after 9. But the beginning, I just kind of talked about the formation of the Hawaiian Islands, and I talked about how life got here, both in the marine and terrestrial environment. Then I'll talk about corals as an animal, and I'll talk about corals and coral reefs as a habitat. I'll show you some of the cool marine life you can find there, and then I have a couple videos that I can show you, which are pretty neat, that show some of the cool interactions you can see. All my videos are from Kahului Bay, but there are things that you can see here as well. Then the last part of it is our reef etiquette guidelines. So the volunteers that we have at Kahului, they actually stand on the shoreline where people get in and out to snorkel, and they have a flip book that they go through that shows that corals are alive and why they're important for the marine ecosystem, and how fish feeding can harm fish, and how turtles should be should not be disturbed. And then there's some pictures of fish and algae and other kinds of cool things that you might see. So when people are getting out, we can go and say, hey, what'd you see? And they can learn about some of the things that they saw, and get excited about the marine environment, because that's a lot of it is. One of the reasons we've been so successful is, instead of saying, no, don't do this, and no, don't do that, or you're bad because you did this, it's more, we have this really beautiful place and we want you to be able to enjoy it, but just like anywhere else you go, if you use it, please leave it in the condition where you found it. Sort of the national parks on land, you'll hear that saying, take only pictures and leave only footprints. So I've sort of modified that, take only pictures and leave only bubbles, because we don't want any footprints either. So you guys can use that. I don't have a patent on that phrase or anything. Actually, I think I stole it from a dive magazine.